They say that good is the enemy of great. And while you can have different opinions on that, it's absolutely true for God's people. What am I talking about? Well, so often God says, He talks about all the great and amazing things He wants to do for and with His people. He tells us so frequently that He has great plans for our lives, that He wants us to do greater works, that He wants to move on our behalf in power. We could literally spend ages just on this topic. But unfortunately, it's so rare that we see people who experience that. It's so rare that we see leaders who walk in that. And why is that? Well, until we live it, until we've experienced the reality of it, it's still just a concept. It's an idea until we actually live it. And then it becomes reality. And because it's just a concept, what happens is, it's so easy for us to come to that place where things look pretty good. And we can get comfortable and we can settle there. And in getting comfortable, we can miss out on God's best. And a great example of that is with the children of Israel. Now, God has taken them on this amazing journey. He's gone before them. It's obvious He's moving on their behalf. He's done the miraculous. He's provided for their every need. And now they are on the border. They're on the verge of receiving what He has promised them so frequently. But again, that promised land is still just an idea. And so what happens? One group of the children of Israel, they look at this land on this side of the Jordan before we go across, and they look at it and go, this is actually pretty good. And because they raised cattle, it seemed perfect. And so they made this decision that, hey, this looks good. Let's settle here. So they go to Moses and request, hey, can we have our part here? Now, see, the key difference was they all had to battle in faith for the promised land. But everyone else literally relied on God to choose their portion, to choose their inheritance for them. Everyone else let God choose. But for this group, they had already chosen, and it looked really good. And to be fair, it was in the boundaries of what God had promised. But it really was just on the boundaries. It was just on the edge. And because it was on the other side of the Jordan River, there was a little bit of a disconnect. They were geographically disconnected from the true center of worship. And what were the consequences of that? Well, ultimately, they were the first ones to be picked off by the enemy. They were the first ones taken into captivity. See, the point is, what looked good for them and what they chose may not necessarily have been what God would have chosen. And the point for you and I is this: we should rejoice and enjoy the good things that God gives us. But at the same time, we shouldn't get so comfortable that we don't always want more of what God has. And as we'll see in the next episode, there is literally always more.